So, I bought a boat and a house. This channel is mainly about boat though, and the myriad of projects, big and small, required to save and improve her. So, welcome to Saving Ophelia. Last week you saw me remove the anchor winch and move it back home to the workshop, along with the components for Ophelia's wind vane. This week I'm going to be moving Ophelia's shore power control panel before I get stuck back in with the disassembly process by taking apart the pilot berth. So, let's get started. The control panel for shore power had already been removed from its position as table leg for the chart table, but I couldn't just have the panel lying around. I decided to move it to a spot on the wall, but for that it had to be adapted. I had to shorten the panel the controls were mounted on, but to do that I first had to remove some bling and an air grate that was in the way. With the fairly pointless air grate gone, I could get on with the precision work of shortening the panel. The shortening only required a few cuts and caused almost no collateral damage. Yeah, I clearly selected the right tool for such a delicate job. I then screwed the shortened panel onto a spot on the wall, within reach of its wires, but where it would still be out of the way. Well, I should get that out of the way. For now, at least. Time to clean up some mess so I can get work on this corner. So far, gotten this dug out, but I have a feeling it's just as bad below this. But yeah, the big wonder is what's behind door number 2. Probably a lot of foam as well. If I'm lucky, just air, but it's definitely a lot of mess that I need to get out of the way first. So, slightly less messy. A lot of stuff. Salt blades. Worn out, I guess. So trash, more of it. And rust. Seems that, yeah, stuff from up here is falling down. But it looks dry, so hope we can just clean it off. Otherwise, well, it'll meet the grinder. This needs to be cut out, I guess. If I might get lucky and find the screws, and this will come out in one piece, but I kind of doubt it. Would be too lucky. See some screw heads though, so you never know. Absence of a broom, I'll have to do something else. Note to self, bring a broom down here because you're gonna need it. Yeah. That looks too easy. It's just stripping the screws. Oh. What do you know? It's all loose. Most at any rate. It's keeping it stuck right here. That was almost easy. Go. Well, at least I haven't been using expanding foam down here. And if my eyes don't deceive me, looks like rock wall over here as well, behind here. So it might not be the entire hull as insulated with expanding foam. I'll believe it when I see it though. Oh my goodness. Look at this back here. This has been wet. Not a big surprise, but yeah. Well. Oh, that rock will have to go. So I've seen this trick where people snap their fingers and then things are just magically gone. Let's see if I can do it. Well, first of all, I can snap my fingers. And there we go. It's gone. Well, it doesn't look half bad. There's a lot of black stuff on the insulation. So we definitely had a moisture problem at some point, but it doesn't seem wet or anything anymore, so it's gone, I hope. Not that it matters at the moment because everything's going to be ripped out, but oh, it tells me if the deck is waterproof or not. Might not be, but we'll fix that then. Can't see what the leaks are now at any rate. Guess that at some point. Now to remove, well, the rest of the stuff. See if this comes out in a reasonable way or if we'll have to resort to force. My guess is it's got to be force, but we'll see. Bit of force, but only because I didn't want to crawl back in that. Oh, see into the engine compartment now. I think that might be a good thing. Off into the bay. Equip a pair of gloves because this insulation stuff, the dust, it's kind of itchy, and well, black mold and stuff. Other than that, get too much of that on my skin. Respirator might be a good idea, but don't have any right now, so that'll have to make do with just not breathing too deep. Oh, pads, you got some pads. Hammer only want this and reinforcement behind there. Force doesn't use solve the problem. It's simply because you're not using enough. What my granddad used to say, don't use force, take a bigger hammer. Yeah. Well, no hammer required this time. More foam, damn it. But also more rockwool insulation, so guess we'll find out when we get to it. And steel construction. Still solid steel behind all the rust. But yeah, some genius installed some stainless steel bolts or screws into this. That hasn't really helped things. Oh well, at least now I know if I can cut behind here and how deep I can go. Oh, at least I can guesstimate how deep I can go. Okay. That seems almost too easy. Yeah. No fastness, just stuck in there. Oh, let this wobble. Go. Oh, it seems I bought a farm of insects down here. No, they're going to be homeless now. I wonder if there's been a tank of some kind here. I know it's not the water tank because that's in the keel. Oh, it's just a shelf. There's nothing behind it or below it. Let's see. And this one, see that on the camera? Yeah, you can. This one's bolted to the steel parts, so that's not coming out easily. This is probably just screwed into that one, so a bit of Persuasion should do the trick here. Maybe not, because I can't seem to get any leverage and you get a hold of it. We just have to resort to cutting. Or as they say in German, wenn Sie nicht wollen, dann haben wir andere Methoden. Yeah, that was dusty. Should probably want that respirator. I'll be cuffing. Oh, can't seem to find the screws in this panel. Odd. Nothing. Well, might not be screwed. Oh, it's been nailed in place. Yeah, that's great. If I could get to the top of the nails, but I can't. They've been hammered all the way in, obviously, as they should be. So, how to solve this? Can't just go in with the reciprocating saw because the electric saw, because I really don't know what's behind this. Probably nothing. Steel plate up here at the top, and then air down here, I guess. But that's the problem, I'm guessing. Not rusted steel. There's that as well. What do you know? Using the multi-tool to cut a groove, and then using that groove to pry out this piece. So it's like the inklings of a plan. Now, where did I put those blades? Ah, here they are. So do I use the chewed out wood blade that found a screw? Yeah, wood blades finding screws will do this, it seems. Too bad they're not exactly cheap, but oh well. And then I have these two bi-metal blades, supposed to be able to cut through metals, but they do have a rough time with steel screws. I'll cut them, but they won't last very long. Either one will do, I guess. They're both worn out. My newest toy. There we go. And battery. Borrow the one from the electric drill. Go. Load up. Now, we're cutting. If I could find this nails, I might be able to cut those, but do that. Oh, that was almost too easy. In this corner over here, further down, I can't see it, but down here it goes behind another piece of plywood, and it's a fairly substantial one, so I'll just rip that out right now. Damn dust. Guess I'll have to be, I'm going to be cutting that plate. That's that piece of plywood. Small sheet? No, it's not a sheet. Piece of plywood. Frost can solve it. And another piece of old dusty rockwool. Unrusted steel. So that's good. I'm bordering onto stuff where the corrosion isn't too bad, things. Might even just be surface rust. And this corner seems like, oh, there's even non-rusted steel, an unrusted part of the hull, seems. And there, just a tiny spot. But guess that's good news. Seems that the worst part was back here, as I thought. Down here, the water's been slushing back and forth on the water tank, and then just climbed a bit below the insulation. Well, probably through the upper layer of steel as it rusted it, because that closed cell foam, the expanding foam, will keep almost anything out. Can't really prevent the water from going through the steel beneath it. But if we have no corrosion up here, then it might just be localized to where we had a lot of water pooling. One can hope, at least. So that leaves me with just this piece and this. So I can have them cover the entire side up to where the electrical installations start for real. They'll need to go as well, but right now I just want to see how bad the corrosion is behind this and rip out the plywood covering and stuff to get to the hull. So I'll need this to disappear. Fortunately, this piece extends this way, so I guess I'll have to cut it around here or somewhere. I can get all this crap out and start working my way upwards. Yeah. This is going to be messy, and you just know expanding foam below it, and I'm guessing all the way back here. Oh, there we go. All the way back here, it's filled up with foam. Probably for sound insulation or something, to avoid those hollow spaces that they'd have under the floorboards if they didn't. But I guess we'll never know. It just needs to go at any rate. Now where to put a camera so you can watch me making an ass of myself. There we go. That should be a decent enough spot. Seeing that cutting through that other piece of plywood worked so well with a multi-cutter, multi-tool with a cutter. I don't know. I'll keep doing that, at least until I'm out of blades, which is going to be pretty soon. Oh, weather's looking bad. Oh, not my problem right now. Yeah, it was just glued in place. I whacked myself in the face with a crowbar. Yeah, that's out. And more marine plywood. Who would have guessed? Oh, it's supposed to be here, so it's all right. There we go, and to steal a phrase from Sail Life, oh glorious foam in this case. So, there we go. Well, that's the majority of the foam at any rate, but I can't get to the rest before I take out this lovely little piece of plywood, the entrance to the engine room, and well, the side wall here is probably going to be stuck to it, and I don't want to open up the engine room completely because we haven't taken the engine out and preserved it yet, so it could get full of all kinds of nastiness from in here. I don't think even an old diesel likes dust of expansion foam. Gotten the majority of it out of here, and then the question is, why all this destruction? Well, it's kind of obvious to see down here. There's a lot of corrosion, and I need to know how bad it is. We're still evaluating whether or not Ophelia is worth saving. I think she is. She looks that way from the outside, and anything that's been accessible so far seems to indicate that she's worth saving. As in, if I need to replace half the hull, then she's not worth saving anymore. It's just too much work, too expensive for my taste. I just wouldn't be able to afford it. And I need to know how bad the corrosion down here is. And the expanding foam is in the way. And I also think it's part of the cause of the problem. And then the obvious question is, how can expanding foam, cause corrosion? Shouldn't it be sealing off the steel surface so that it couldn't corrode? Yeah, the foam should prevent corrosion. At least that's probably the theory when it was put in here. The hull seems to be insulated with the expanding foam. It was done in 1992. That's my guess at any rate. It could be earlier than that, but I don't think so. And yeah, the insulation makes sense, and I can see that the hull wasn't painted before. So they probably worked on the theory that once they put in the foam, which is, as far as I know, it generates closed cell when it expands, so it should be completely impenetrable to water. Shouldn't be able to get from the outside, well, this is the inside really, but penetrate through this. But there's an obvious fault with that plan. Well, in this case, at any rate, there was an obvious fault. The water didn't penetrate the foam, at least I don't think it did. What happened was that it entered through this roof, which is definitely not in any way watertight, waterproof, and dripped down onto the water tank, which is here. You see this very, very bad corrosion here. It even rusted through in that corner. So that's probably what saved her. The water didn't pool on top of the tank anymore. It just fell through into the water tank after it rusted through. At any rate, that meant that water could access the edge of the foam and the steel, and then started rusting from the water tank, and the rust carried the water to the unrusted steel, and so on and so forth, all the way up. As the steel corroded, it was able to transport water further up. And I don't know how rusty it was before they put on the steel, the foam, of course, the foam on the steel, and looks quite bad down here, which can support it because there hasn't been standing water. Only a bit of water slushing back and forth in the water tank, but it's been pulled up here and made the steel corrode. You also see that a lot of the rust, I guess we'll have a closer look at it later, but when I opened up, a lot of the rust was black, and as far as I know, that indicates that it hasn't fully oxidized. So there wasn't enough oxygen to completely oxidize that part of the hull. It's now turning red, which I think means that it's completing its oxidation. And, well, water and oxygen being pulled in and oxidizing, and we know it's got quite a bit up here. We don't know how far, but it seems that the corrosion has been really bad down here, and then seems less and less until we get up here, where it seems like it's mainly surface rust. Seems to be, might turn out to be something else different. Well, at any rate, that's the theory, my working theory so far. And I need to get it behind the expanding foam everywhere to see how bad it is. But this should be the worst affected area. Should be. Because it's where we know the water entered the ship while she was just lying and doing nothing. But it remains to be seen if it is the worst place. I think it is. And I hope it is. Because if this is as bad as it gets, then at worst we need to replace, well, half a square meter of the hull, I'd say. There shouldn't be any corrosion in the water tank because that was painted on the inside. So there isn't really any corrosion in there. Out here though, is a completely different matter. Next week, I'll continue trying to get access to the inside of the hull by turning my attention to the galley in Ophelia's port side. If you like what I do or think that I could or maybe should do something differently, please leave a comment below so I can see what you're thinking. Also, please hit that like and subscribe button just so you don't miss out on another round of boat deconstruction. With that out of the way, I hope I'll see you again next week, and thank you for tagging along.